This adopted kid built a $2 trillion empire from the passenger seat of a beat-up Chevy Blazer. He typed a business plan while crossing America in 1994. 30 years later, his company makes $1.2 million every single minute. No viral ads, no shortcuts. Just a system so powerful it crushed industries, rewired capitalism, and quietly entered your home. And just when the world finally started asking questions, he stepped away. In 1964, in a small hospital room in Albuquerque, New Mexico, a baby was born with no wealth, no connections, and no famous last name. His mother, Jackie, was only 17 years old, working as a secretary and trying to figure out life one paycheck at a time. His biological father was a circus performer who disappeared almost immediately, leaving behind nothing but questions. A few years later, Jackie married a Cuban immigrant named Miguel Mike Bezos. Mike had fled Cuba with almost nothing, built his life from scratch, and believed deeply in hard work and discipline. He adopted the boy, gave him his name, and unknowingly set the stage for one of the most important business stories in human history. That boy was Jeff Bezos. From a very early age, Jeff stood out. Not because he was loud or rebellious, but because his mind worked differently. He took apart electronics just to see how they worked. He asked uncomfortable questions. He didn't just want answers, he wanted systems. Teachers noticed his intelligence, but they also noticed something else. Jeff wasn't satisfied with small thinking. While other kids dreamed about cars or money, Jeff dreamed about space. He talked about colonies on the moon and massive space stations orbiting Earth. At his high school graduation, instead of giving a safe, forgettable speech, he talked about moving humanity off the planet. People applauded politely, but many left wondering whether that kid was brilliant or completely unrealistic. Jeff didn't slow down. He went to Princeton University and chose not one, but two of the hardest majors available, electrical engineering and computer science. He graduated at the top of his class. He wasn't the most social student. He wasn't chasing popularity. He was chasing understanding. His brain ran on logic, caffeine, and an almost uncomfortable level of ambition. After college, Jeff followed the smart path: Wall Street. High salaries, stable careers. He worked at Bankers Trust, then a telecom startup, and eventually landed at D.E. Shaw, a secretive hedge fund famous for hiring people who thought differently. D.E. Shaw wasn't just a finance firm, it was a laboratory for ideas. By age 30, Jeff Bezos was already a senior vice president, working directly with the founder. Then, one document changed everything. Jeff read a report showing that internet usage was growing at 2,300% per year. Not 10%, not 50, 2,300. To Jeff, this wasn't just data. It was a once-in-a-lifetime force, something so powerful that anyone standing in its way would eventually be erased. So Jeff did what he always did. He analyzed. He built a spreadsheet with 20 possible online businesses. Music, clothing, electronics, pet supplies. But one category kept rising to the top. Books. Books had millions of titles. They were standardized, easy to ship, easy to list. But books weren't the goal. They were the starting point. A Trojan horse. When Jeff told his boss he was quitting to sell books on the internet, his boss paused and said, "That sounds like a great idea for someone who doesn't already have a great job." Jeff thanked him and quit anyway. He convinced his wife, Mackenzie, to leave her job too. They packed everything they owned into a beat-up Chevy Blazer and drove from New York to Seattle. While Mackenzie drove, Jeff sat in the passenger seat, typing the business plan on a laptop. Somewhere between cornfields, highways, and cheap motels, Amazon was born. The company almost had a very different name. Jeff liked Cadabra, as in abracadabra, until his lawyer misheard it as cadaver. Not ideal. Then he loved Relentless so much that he bought the domain, one he still owns today. But finally, he chose Amazon, the biggest river in the world. Because Jeff wasn't thinking small. He wasn't building a bookstore. He was building the everything store. In 1994, Amazon launched with just $10,000 from Jeff's parents, money taken from their retirement savings. They knew the risk. Jeff warned them it could all fail. They invested anyway. The office was a garage. Desks were made from doors placed on wooden blocks. Frugality wasn't temporary. It was culture. The first sale was a boring, highly technical book about artificial intelligence. Jeff rang a bell to celebrate every order. Soon, the bell never stopped ringing. Orders poured in from all 50 states and then from countries around the world. Amazon wasn't just selling products. It was selling speed, access, and convenience. Something traditional retail couldn't match. Jeff didn't care about perfection. He cared about momentum. Mistakes happened constantly. At one point, a book was accidentally listed for over $23 million. It didn't matter. Growth came first. In 1997, Amazon went public. The company still wasn't profitable. Analysts laughed. Some called it Amazon.bomb. Jeff ignored them. He told investors to focus on the long term. Most didn't understand what that meant. Then, Jeff did something no retailer had ever done. He allowed customers to post negative reviews. Competitors thought he was insane. Jeff believed honesty built trust. Trust built loyalty. Loyalty built dominance. Amazon expanded rapidly. Books to music, music to electronics, electronics to everything. Then Jeff made another move that shocked the industry. Amazon Marketplace. Third-party sellers were invited to compete directly on Amazon's platform. It looked like chaos. In reality, it was data collection at scale. In 2000, the dot-com bubble burst. Tech companies collapsed overnight. Amazon's stock fell from over $100 to $6. Headlines predicted bankruptcy. Inside the company, fear spread. Jeff didn't panic. He cut costs, killed projects, and stripped Amazon down to its essentials. Many competitors disappeared forever. Amazon survived. And survival changed it. In 2005, Amazon launched Prime, free 2-day shipping, unlimited. Analysts called it financial suicide. Jeff knew better. Prime wasn't a perk. It was behavioral engineering. Prime members bought more, searched less, and stopped leaving Amazon altogether. In 2007, Amazon released the Kindle. It didn't just sell books. It redefined them. Bookstores collapsed. Publishers lost power. Amazon now controlled distribution, pricing, and access. Behind the scenes, Amazon built massive internal infrastructure to handle its own growth. Flexible servers, elastic computing, on-demand storage. That internal system became Amazon Web Services. Oz quietly launched and soon powered Netflix, NASA, government agencies, and even Amazon's competitors. Amazon wasn't just dominating retail anymore. It was renting out the backbone of the internet. As Amazon grew, controversy followed. Sellers noticed that successful products were suddenly copied by Amazon itself. Same features, lower prices, better placement. Amazon denied wrongdoing. Retail giants collapsed one by one. Borders, Circuit City, Toys R Us. Bezos had a phrase for it. Your margin is my opportunity. By 2020, regulators finally took notice. Jeff Bezos testified before Congress, calm and analytical. In 2021, he stepped down as CEO. No drama, no collapse, just a quiet handoff. Because Amazon was finished. The machine was complete. Jeff returned to his first obsession, space. Through Blue Origin, he focused on reusable rockets, orbital habitats, and humanity beyond Earth. The kid who once talked about space hotels never stopped looking up. Amazon was never the destination. It was the launch pad.